Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and AMD just completed up their AMD Financial Analysis Day. AMD's Financial Analysis Day isn't much of getting a lot of tech information out and the juicy details of what I really want to hear about, but I do like to pay attention to a lot of companies' financials and where they're going, as well as just kind of keep track of their stocks and everything else. As I'd like to invest more into companies, I don't right now. But inside of this whole financial analysis day is a lot of little hidden details, I think. And just to go through a little bit about it, was they really hit on their main areas of their business and where they're going. And they even showed off a lot of interesting stuff about what to expect and where to kind of maybe dig into about what technology is coming down the pipeline. First, I want to touch on their supercomputers, right? They've already done Frontier, or they've won the bid for that. That's Oak Ridge's 1.5 exaflops supercomputer that they're building, or that they won the contract to, and I believe that's 2021, and that's going to be, I think, based upon Zen 3. But then they just won yesterday El Capitan, which is Livermore's 2 exaflop supercomputer, which is another half an exaflop up from where they were before. So this is actually a big jump. But some details out yesterday were that they're going to be using their Zen 4, and I believe now that we have more information, they're going to be using the Cdna architecture here for their GPUs. And just to touch on Cdna architecture, that's, we have RDNA architecture for the graphics side of what we're throwing in our gaming desktops. But then there's going to be Cdna, which is going to be like a compute architecture. So jumping right into Radeon there, I think first, I guess before I jump in, the supercomputer part of this is very impressive. AMD is going after the supercomputer arena full force, and they're putting their best foot forward and showing it, right? People are accepting their contracts, they're seeing what they're able to do, and they're impressed by them. So this is showing a lot of commitment of AMD, their roadmap, and where they're going, because a lot of supercomputer stuff is not going to be built right today, right? It's what El Capitan is going to be based upon Zen 4 architecture, not the current Zen 2 architecture that's in the Ryzen 3000 series CPUs. So there's a roadmap here that they have to be able to deliver on and be able to deliver all this CPU stuff and GPU stuff for these supercomputers. But then jumping into Radeon here, we have AMD is now taking had GCN before, which was one architecture to rule them all, compute and for graphic stuff. So gamers had to deal with all the compute side stuff, as well as data centers that wanted just to compute had to deal with the graphics side stuff all in one chip. And they tried really hard to get this to work for both, except it was extremely power hungry, right? We have Vega, which I own right here, which was very power hungry overall. And now their jump is to really take that to the next level here with RDNA 2. It seems like RDNA 2 is really leaving GCN behind, just from stuff that they're showing in slides, as well as other YouTubers around. Adored TV mentioned a little bit about this as well. But just from my perspective, it seems like they really want to leave GCN in the background from what I'm hearing from them. Just in their presentation of everything and everything they've been talking about since they came out with RDNA 1, is that they really want that separation and really want to leave GCN behind. Now, that's going to also then incorporate a new architecture that they need for the compute side, in that server network side that people are going to want to take and move forward. And that looks like that's going to be what they're saying is Cdna. So Cdna is going forward. They're saying that they're launching RDNA 2 later this year. They've also said late this year. So I'm guessing end of Q3, Q4, we should be seeing those graphics cards out. And if the power efficiency claim for RDNA 2 is there, we got consoles coming out on it, and the consoles are supposed to be pretty powerful. We already know some of the Xbox specs, which is 12 teraflops of GPU performance on that Xbox Series X. And that's going to be pretty power efficient, right? Because it's going to have one power plug to it. I believe it's just it's kind of like the same power connector as the current Xbox. So it's kind of power limited based upon that. Um, I believe it has to fit maybe in like a 250 watt envelope or someplace around there. And that's pretty impressive for the whole system to be running off of that. So there's got to be a leap in there, and I'm excited to see if that leap's going to translate to the desktop and gaming and 4K gaming for a desktop computer, because this could be a really interesting card. I mean, I'd like to see where it compares with what NVIDIA has and be able to pick up a new card here and play some 4K 60 games. That would be really fun, or even higher frame rates. But then you have Cdna, and Cdna, all they also said, is going to be out later this year. So AMD is in a position now with Radeon where they're really starting to kind of put forward, and you can kind of see they're getting some confidence behind them. I like to see that. I like to see a company and a group have some confidence, a little bit of swagger, right? Jensen is full of swagger. Jensen's full of a lot of stuff, but he has a lot of confidence behind his products. When he's on stage, he's talking about that he's going to deliver on it. And you're starting to see that from AMD. The Ryzen side stuff is starting to rub off. I think I think after Raja left, they've been starting to tweak with the new leadership of getting them how we're going to drive home and get this stable, get Radeon stable, and get them moving in the right direction. Kind of how Ryzen is developed and the CPU side is driving it forward, right? I don't know exactly how their R&D teams are working, but it almost seems like they're going to have kind of, the Cdna and the RDNA are going to be kind of split architectures. They're not going to be one architecture to serve them all. They're going to be two. There's going to be two R&D groups working on them. There might be some joint stuff in between them, especially like the memory controllers and stuff, and in areas that make sense. But the two architectures really specialize in both. We could see a very power efficient architecture here on both sides of things, but taking that a step further is depending upon if they're going to do, maybe leapfrog teams or just even, get their cadence so that they're working at a faster rate. Every 18 months we're going to get out a GPU architecture. To me, the area behind where they're going is just on what I'm hearing from them from this analysis day is they're going to have a cadence now going forward in Radeon, and it's going to be addressing the full stack. One thing I got from this analysis day is that they're not going to leave anything open to the market anymore or left alone. They are going to do top to bottom everywhere. They're going after every part of the market. And I like to see that. It's a very aggressive stance. It takes a lot of work too. It's not something that the AMD is going to have to sit by. But I really like their stance on this and saying we're going to go through everything. There's a little bit different tone from Intel I just feel like what they're talking about. In their CA talks and stuff, they want to address and be able to address 30% of everything. Well, Intel before was we'll take it to you and we're going to get 100% of just one market, and then we're going to take it to you on another market. And it's kind of like we're restructuring, we're trying to get things right over at Intel, but AMD is trying to be that person, that juggernaut, to say we are going forward, we're not being complacent, we are going to a direction and to a path, and we've got our goals out here and we're not going to stop. And companies like to see that because then they know where you're going. I like to see that as a tech guy, because then I know kind of what to expect, where to go, and what to look forward to, which is really, really exciting. Now let's jump into the CPU side here. They talked a lot about where they were with Zen 1, Zen 2, and then Zen 3 and Zen 4, right? And those CPU micro architectures, right, are going to be in those. And Zen 3 is coming out this year. Later this year, it will be out, which we just got Zen 4, and that's been, or Zen 4, we just got Zen 2, and that's been rolling out like crazy. We just had the full rollout of the laptops here, the Ryzen 4000 series, early in this year, in January, and we're getting laptops probably in late, I'm guessing April, May, they'll start hitting the market in full force with all the lineups coming out. Wow, and we're going to have Zen 3 already. I like it. I love it. This is exciting, right? Let's push that envelope forward. Let's show that you're not going to get complacent and you're going to keep going forward. This is great for us tech enthusiasts or anybody in the computing world to see this go forward. I hope Intel catches up. I would like to see Intel compete at a very high level in this, but this is going to be exciting, and it's going to make sure that when Intel comes back, that they're not just, let's say Intel comes back and they just beat AMD right away. And it seems like now AMD's on a pathway to say, to make Intel, if they come back and beat AMD, okay, we can't stop. We're just gonna have to go full steam ahead. This is gonna get exciting, especially to be able to build a new computer, or just watch it from the sidelines, to wait until you can jump on and finally build a new computer or buy one. So with that, on the server side, they're going to finally, with Zen 3, Milan, they're going to finally address the entire server market. So everything from telecos to cloud, every part of that server enterprise market, they're going to be able to address. I believe they have in Zen 2, it was like 80% they addressed this market. Now they're going to be able to address 100% with the Zen 3 architecture, which is going to be able to create more income for them and more revenue, as well as they expect, or they say in Q2, they will have double digits in the server market. So they are moving progressively. I think it's been since 2008 or roughly, someplace in there, that the last time AMD had double digits in the server market. So they're firing on all cylinders. Now, one thing they did talk a lot about was security, and making sure security is at the forefront, and they keep innovating on it and making it better. So Market Paper Master, when he was up on stage, really focused on security, which is good, and I agree. You should harp on security, and even if Intel gets their security up to date, still harp on it. Intel better be harping on security too, but I don't hear Intel harping on security because they're not harping on trying to fix their security first, which I'm still disappointed in. I wish Intel would do a better job of that. But in going forward with AMD and other companies as well, harp on your security. Make sure that we know that you're working very hard and getting it secure. Show us new security features. Show us how you're protecting data on a daily basis. This is crucial for not only enterprises, but for users. I think users want to hear more and more about how they are being how their privacy or security is being implemented at the hardware level so that they are protected. I think that there would be welcoming to see it. Now, it's not a silver bullet. We still have to be careful out there, but this is a good way to get that out there and for AMD to show it. And then you have Infinity Fabric Architecture. And I wanted to end on this because I found this extremely interesting and exciting. They're taking the Infinity Fabric and kind of calling it the Infinity Architecture, or Infinity Fabric Architecture. And this is going to be starting to link up all your GPUs together. This is going to be the third generation. They have first generation was Infinity Fabric. Second generation is this Infinity Fabric Architecture. And then they'll have a third generation, which is supposed to be even faster than PCI 4. Just they show some numbers, really power efficient, I believe, too. I can't wait to see it and get more on it. It's maybe relation to something like Intel's EMIP technology. We'll see on how that kind of relates to it further down the road, but that's how it kind of correlated to. The EMIP technology was in Intel CPUs that were using the Vega GPU with it, and 2 gigs of HBM or 4 gigs of HBM with that GPU. So with this, they're going to have like an 8-way GPU. I kind of think that this is starting to work towards a multi-GPU model, if not each. I would even say that they could even do this for a little GPU, 8 ways, and then that connect up to the 8 ways of the main GPU. My head's going crazy what they can do. So they just showed a picture of 8-way GPUs communications together, being able to then communicate with the CPU. And so you have that communication, but what they're able to do then is unify that data. And what was mentioned in the Q&A is that in that data, let's say that data is stored on HBM, which was mentioned by the head of the Radeon group, I believe. I'm trying to remember who was on stage. I was listening to this while I was doing other things. But all that data is there. So you do certain processing on the GPU. Then once the post-processing needs to be done, you go to the CPU and can post-process it. You don't have to transfer that off into a different RAM bank. It's all right there, accessed, and you can go back and forth. If this is finally here, which was AMD's HSA, I'm blanking on the heterogeneous system architecture. That's what it was. If AMD's finally got this together, this is exciting. I'm a developer, and I'm just getting. This can be really fun for me to be able to access huge amounts of data and not have to kind of copy it, transfer it, keep track of it, etc. This could be really fun. But this new Infinity Fabric is going to be, built into the CPUs, because CPUs use it for the core-to-core communication. It looks like that they even talked about a 3DX, basically packaging. So not just 3D and 2D. So a lot of stuff originally was planar. Then we had 2.5D, which is stacking up, kind of like the stack memory stuff. And then Intel talked a lot about 3D and Foveros and their kind of 3D platform where they're stacking CPU chips on everything. I don't know what AMD is going to do, but it kind of seems like that they're doing a mixture of both and maybe even stacking communication layers on top, kind of like the EMIB stuff of Intel, to really get that high speed. And they have it on low power because intercommunication can take a lot of power. So this is the really exciting part, I think, of the whole analysis day. It's one of the keys that AMD can then deliver all this compute power for Frontier, for our Captain, all these other supercomputers that they are winning. And with everything else, if you're a gamer, if you want a better laptop, you want something more efficient, AMD is coming to the table. They're going to try to deliver in whatever market that you want to look at them in for it. I'm really excited about their attitude going forward, because this attitude looks like they're not slowing down. They're trying to push forward. If they're saying that RDNA 2, Cdna, and Zen 3 are all coming out this year, wow, this is not slowing down. This is making sure that, from my perspective, AMD is just pushing forward and showing we will not stop. We're going to make sure we deliver the best products when we can, and we will keep going forward. We're not going to get complacent. We've saw what happens when you get complacent. I think AMD has a little bit of the fight mentality right now, because they were so close to just ruins with financially, right? They had such bad financials. And 3 years ago, they went through, 3 years ago when they had the last financial analysis day till now, and it's been a huge improvement. All their trajectories are very impressed, but their attitude is, we know where we came from. We were almost out of it completely, and we're going to make sure that we can put the best products forward to be able to do it. I really hope that big Navi delivers, and AMD needs it to deliver. And if let's say they have it later in the year, AMD, make sure those drivers are rock solid. Get these drivers rock solid. Get people not only buying your cards, but enjoying your drivers. And for that RDNA 2 card, that big one, I think gamers will be pretty pleased if you deliver on the hype that's out there and have a good card. Cdna, I think that enterprises are going to be really, really into it. And the next CPUs, I think this could be where people are really just solidifying it and seeing that you're committed to your products, right? You've delivered 3 generations or 3 Ryzen generations already, generation Ryzen 1000, 2000, and 3000. And if you do the 4000, I think people are really going to understand what you're really committed to if they haven't already. And if they're not looking at you as a serious competitor to what you're putting out, I don't know what will make them to actually look at it. But I'm really excited. I really hope that Intel does something. I really want to be interested in Intel, but they just don't get me excited right now with what they've been doing. I hope that they come out with a product and really get me excited. I like the 3D stuff. I guess one thing that really excites me about Intel is their chips that are going into the Neo, the Microsoft Neo. That's really exciting to me, what they're able to do with big cores and small cores. But other than that, it's NVIDIA's got some cool stuff. I think their GPU stuff is going to keep going forward. One thing AMD mentioned too before I go is ray tracing and stuff on the GPU, and they work closely with Microsoft. It's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. I still have my thoughts about that. Maybe I'll put that in another video. But let me know what your thoughts are about this analysis day. If you watched it, what did you get from AMD's analysis day? What were your feelings on where the trajectories are going? And do you think they're going in the right direction? I certainly do. And I hope that we see more from them in the future and be able to provide more competitive products for us to be able to choose to put in our PCs. So with that, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to help support this channel, helping it grow. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. And until next time, God bless. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.